This morning I woke up craving a really good book to read, but unfortunately I wasn't really in the mood for any of the books I own, so I decided to make one from scratch. I started by printing out one of my favorite Hermione fanfictions, because I'm a Draco and Hermione girl until I die. The first step was folding each of the signatures, and this is what it looks like once they're all folded. I then used my template to cut lines down the text block so that I knew exactly where to punch holes into my signatures. Once all the pages were punched with holes, I went ahead and sewed all the signatures together. This is probably my favorite part about bookbinding from scratch. I really just love the relaxing feel of being able to sew and put on some music. It really just is therapeutic for me. It is tedious, but I really enjoy it. Once the sewing was complete, the next step was to glue it all together and let it dry overnight. I chose this metallic gold for the end pages, and I'm folding them here and just gluing them onto the end of my text block. Because I had to fold each of the pages, my book had deckled edges, so I used this paper guillotine to smooth it all out. Next, I added a piece of mold cloth and cardstock to strengthen the spine, and I also added some headbands. Next, I needed to make the cover for my book, so I cut out a few pieces of Davy board and glued it together before adding on book cloth. I glued the front and back and spine, and then smoothed it all out with my bone folder. The next part was gluing and folding over each of the edges, and this part always scares me because I'm just terrified of getting glue all over the cover of my book. Then it was time to case in my book, which is also kind of a scary step because it's very final. Once it's glued in, you can't really go back. But luckily it turned out, and then I moved on to printing out my design with heat transfer vinyl and ironing that onto the front of my book. This is one of my all-time favorite Hermione fanfics, and I'm so excited to reread it because I feel like it's the perfect thing to get me out of my slump. And here's how it turned out. Take this as your official sign to get into bookbinding because it's seriously the best and most fun hobby ever.